back to Grant Me. This is video number 1 in our University of Alberta series. Very exciting to be talking about this university today. As a whole, these videos are part of Grant Me's Ultimate University Guide series. And if you don't know what this series is about, it's basically where we take a look at Canada's top 20 universities. We give you loads of tips and tricks about how to get in, how they accept people, some general admissions advice, and a lot more other useful information. So if you're interested in learning more about this, I would highly recommend you go to our channel. We have a bunch of other videos about different universities, and as well, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with our latest videos and be notified whenever we have a new release. With that, let's just get started and talk about what the University of Alberta is all about. Alright, so University of Alberta, what is it all about? Well, it's located over in Edmonton, which is obviously located in Alberta, as you can kind of guess by the name of the university, but it is one of the top teaching and research universities within the beautiful country of Canada, and it also has an international reputation for excellence across humanities, sciences, creative arts, business, engineering, and health science. U of A is one of the top research universities in the world. Within Canada, it is ranked number 4th, and within the global stage, it is ranked 41st for research impact. U of A researchers are always at the forefront of advancing knowledge for the benefit of all. Quick facts there, U of A is definitely very diverse in terms of its programs. In fact, there's over 200 undergraduate programs available for you. There's over 500 graduate programs available, and in terms of the student body, there are an estimated 40,061 students who hail from 156 countries. So if you're a student at the University of Alberta, you'll definitely be joining a very large but very diverse student body, and there's people from all around the world that you'll be able to meet. In terms of the people who are out there, there's about 41 national 3M teaching fellows, there are 75 Rhodes Scholars, and they have 78 national athletic titles. So in terms of just stats alone, the University of Alberta is definitely already a huge contender within Canada. In terms of its rankings, both in Canada and abroad, the University of Alberta does have some very impressive stats. It is ranked number 5 within the top Canadian universities in Canada, and on the international stage, it is ranked within the top 150 world university rankings. In terms of the standout programs, these are the programs that the university is the most well known for. There's paleontology, in which it ranks 3rd, and there is also forestry, geology, and given Alberta, there is also petroleum engineering, and it ranks number 5 in these categories. So now that you know what the University of Alberta is all about, now we're going to be focusing on how to get into this prestigious school. There's really 2 parts that we'll be covering today. Number 1, we'll just be covering the general admission requirements, so what every student will need to be able to enter the school, and then shortly afterwards move on to degree-specific requirements, because as with many other universities, depending on your degree, there may be some additional steps within your application compared to others. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start by talking off about what every student who wants to go to U of A needs to have. Well, first of all, let's talk about the availability. Of course, this university is going to be very restricted in the number of spots they have allocated, and so admission to all of their programs is very, very competitive, and it's always subject to the availability of space. If you want to be considered for admission, we'll just give you a few requirements that you have to be aware of. Now, a big one is that you need to have the completion of 5 specific grade 12 subjects if you're transferring from high school directly into university, and these 5 courses will vary, but they will always include English 30-1, or the equivalent in your province is usually going to be English 12. And to see the specific course requirements for each program, you do have to go to the U of A website and check your specific program listing, because different classes do have different required classes, but it's always going to be 5 required classes for a program, at least. In terms of the programs, these are highly accessible, or they can be highly competitive. It depends on which program you're going to. And to be considered for admission within these programs, you do need to provide a competitive average for your faculty or program of choice, and it is based off the required courses for that program. So the competitive average for each faculty and program will vary, and it does change throughout the year, and this is really based off how competitive your applicant pool is. In general, in recent years, from my memory, the minimum requirement for your classes has been a minimum grade of 60% in every class in grade 11, and in grade 12 you need a minimum of 50%. with their marks. Now that's the minimum, but the overall average at its minimum as well is 70% for both your grade 11 and grade 12 marks. So in short, you need to have 50% or over for your grade 12 marks, and you need to have an average of at least 70%. But you have to keep in mind that even though you may be able to meet these grade requirements, it never guarantees your admission because program spots are very limited. So just because you meet an average of 70%, just because you're able to get over 60% on your classes, does not mean you're guaranteed admission, because the programs can be very, very competitive. So make sure you try to keep your grades high in this respect. As a student, you are also required to possess an adequate level of proficiency in English. They call this the English Language Proficiency, or ELP, and you must have this in order to be admissible to the University of Alberta. In some cases, they may also require you to have spoken English proficiency, or SEP, and French language programs will require their version, which is the French language proficiency. If you are a Canadian citizen, however, you shouldn't have any issues with this. Your English language program proficiency requirement will be met automatically when you take your English 12 course at school, and also you need to have at least 3 years of full-time education in English in Canada, which you should be meeting. But if you don't meet this requirement, do not worry. There's a bunch of other ways that you can meet the English language proficiency requirement. There's many tests, including the TOEFL, and within our University of Victoria video, we do talk about how to get into UVic. There is a whole section for about 2 minutes where I explain the various different methods that you can get in by meeting your English language proficiency. So there's actually like over, I believe, 12 other ways that you can satisfy this requirement. But if you want to hear all of them in more detail, you can go check out our UVic video. So earlier I talked about the degree-specific requirements and how every program basically has different requirements to get in and different required courses. Right now we'll be talking about that for some more general subjects. So if you are an art student, your requirements generally entail the following. So you need to have an English 12 course, that's mandatory, and then you need to have one class from the following level 12 subjects, either fine arts, humanities, a language other than English, and a course from the math or sciences. You also need to have 3 classes from the following subjects: humanities, a language other than English, or a math or science. If you are a science student, the degree requirements generally include the following. It's going to be English 12. Again, that's basically mandatory for anything within Canada. And you'll need to have one class from the following level 12 subjects: fine arts, humanities, a language other than English, math, or science. You will also need to have either pre-calculus or functions 12, and then you will need to have 2 of the following courses. You'll need to have 2 courses that are either chemistry, computer science, computer programming, physics, calculus, astronomy, physiology, or biology. So make sure you do go to your program webpage. That was basically just a brief summary depending on kind of what field you're going into. But again, the University of Alberta website is definitely your best source for everything you need. So I would highly recommend you go up there and check your program specific requirements in order to ensure that you have the required courses to get in. But with that being said, that's basically everything that we need to go over for today's video. I would highly recommend, as always, that you check the link down in your description. We have the eligibility quiz for you. It's a very helpful material. You can just take a look at that. And basically what it does is it analyzes your various courses, your various extracurriculars, and then it tells you your chances of getting into your dream school and what schools you're actually eligible for based off what you currently have. So if you're kind of nervous or you're not sure about what schools you should go to, or if you're eligible, I would highly recommend once again that you go check out the link in our description. But that is basically everything I needed to cover for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll stay up to tune with our latest videos.